Happy New Year, everybody. My name is ProfesorRich, and this is our first class of 2024. And today we're going to be talking about the second conditional. And we're going to talk about vocabulary related to personal development and personal change. I think the new year is an excellent time to think about how you can improve yourself and what you want to change about your life and what you can do about that. So let's have a look at some vocabulary related to this. So here's our plan for the day. We are ProfRich. And the topic is areas of change. We're going to start with an important question. Then we're going to look at some second conditional grammar. And then we'll look at the vocabulary related to personal change. So let's start with that question. Here's the question. Are you listening? If you could change one thing, what would it be about your life? If you could change one thing, what would it be? If you could change one thing, what would it be? So as we look at this question, we see this second conditional. This is an imaginary situation, a hypothetical. It's not real. If you could change, that implies that we can't change it now. But let's imagine that we can. So we imagine that we can change something that right now is impossible. And we say, well, if we could. If we could change one thing, what would it be? So in this situation, in this imaginary, hypothetical situation, what would we change? This is an excellent phrase for talking about imaginary situations and hypotheticals. So answers in the chat. If you could change one thing about your life, what would it be? You don't have to give any personal answers. Just tell us in general what you would change. Shozad says, Dear ProfRich, Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year, Shozad. Have you changed your name? I recognize the avatar, but I don't quite recognize your name. It's changed a little. Sleepwalker says hello. Hello, Sleepwalker. Good to see you. Good to see you, Sonia Butterini. And MBTD, long time no see. Yes, Happy New Year to you, MBTD. Hello, Anawat. Belated Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful start. Yes, I did have a wonderful start, actually, Anawat. I had a wonderful end and a wonderful start. 2023 was a very big year of change for me. And 2024 is going to be very interesting. I feel strong and ready. Ready to do stuff. Yeah. 2024. It's going to be a year of doing stuff. I've had many starts of New Year's when I felt a bit down. Felt like my life wasn't where I wanted it to be. And that I wanted to really change some things about it. But I feel different this year. This year, I feel good. And I feel ready to really do some things. You know, have you ever had a year like that? I really feel like that this year. Ziggy Bakowski says hello to each and every one of you. Hello, Ziggy, and Happy New Year. Pallavi says, can I say anything on that question? Yes. So let me give you an answer. Here's an answer from me. If I could change one thing, it would be Well, one possibility would be my productivity. I would give myself more energy. I seem to run out of energy quite quickly, and I think that affects my productivity. So that makes me think, well, how? How can I increase my energy? And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the different areas that you could focus on to change your life. All right, folks. So, second conditional. Let's have a little bit of a look at the form of the second conditional. I'm going to show you some other second conditional sentences, like Pilates, who said, I would change so many things in my life. It's difficult to say only one thing. I think it's difficult to say only one thing, actually. Sleepwalker says the same as me. Sleepwalker says, if I could change one thing, I would be more energetic. Yeah, I feel like that, Sleepwalker. So here are some other examples of this second conditional, but the words are in the incorrect order. Can you try to put the sentences, the words in the correct order? Look at these sentences 1, 2, 3 and try to put those in the correct order. I'll give you the answers in just a minute. Please do smash that like button to say Happy New Year. How are you doing? And very interestingly, we have 86%, 85% of respondents saying that this time is better. I might do another poll at the end of the stream because obviously the people who are here now are more probable to say the time is better. Oh, dear me. So we have submissions here from Romelia and Julia, but they are not correct. Not quite. Close. Yeah, that's right. Well done. Well done, Anawat and Sonia. You've got it. It's if the right job came up, I'd apply for it. If the right job came up, I'd apply for it. If the right job came up, I'd apply for it. Have you ever heard that? Heard someone say that? Something came up. Something came up. Sorry, I'm late. Something came up. Like, come up. It's like something unexpected happens, isn't it? Something unexpected happens. And number 2, if I were more confident, I could do my job better. Excellent. And if I had more money, I'd be less stressed. If I had more money, I'd be less stressed. Well done, everybody. That's it. You've got it. So here's the solutions there. You can look at those one moment. The solutions now are on the screen. And we're going to have a little look at the form of this. So I've said this is the imaginary conditional, the hypothetical imaginary conditional. So, looking at the form of this, let's move my face up here for a moment and come down. If the right job came up, I'd apply for it. You can see I've colored the different parts of this phrase. If the right job came up, I'd apply for it. And we can see that in the form there. If the right job came up, I'd apply for it. So we've got if plus subject plus past. And I have a question for you then, folks. The form is the past. Does it mean the past? Are we talking about the past? In this sentence, am I talking about the past? Pallavi says, what is inf? Inf is infinitive. Inf is infinitive, which equals the base form of the verb. So go, be, have, remember, walk, work, talk, speak, forget. The base form. So no, we are talking about the present. We use the form of the past, but we are talking about the present. Actually, in grammar, this is called the unreal past. It's called the unreal past. So if plus subject plus past, the unreal past. And then we have subject plus would or could plus infinitive. Infinitive is the base form of the verb, the simple form of the verb. If the right job came up, I'd apply for it. Let's have some pronunciation. Are you ready? If the right job came up, I'd apply for it. So we've got right job came up, apply. There's the stress. If the right job came up, I'd apply for it. If the right job came up, I'd apply for it. If the right job, if the right job came up, if the right job came up, I'd apply for it. I'd apply for it. I like that. For it becomes frit. If the right job came up, I'd apply for it. Pallavi says, I didn't get it. The unreal past. So Pallavi, the unreal past is the form of the past, but it doesn't mean the past. So we use the past form, came up. Came is the past, came up. But we're not talking about the past. We're talking about imaginary present or future. Pallavi, you are asking some great questions today. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Questions are very useful. So Pallavi says, how do we find out if the word has stress? I don't understand this thing. Can you explain it? I love that question, and that's such a good question that we're going to pause the class and talk about it. Let's have a look at some word stress. We can consider it with Pallavi's question itself. Okay. First, we're going to rewrite the question. just to correct the English a little bit. The English is okay, but we can correct it a little bit. So not word, but a phrase has stress. How do you find out if a phrase has stress? Okay, so first of all, everything has stress. Stress is the loudest, clearest, and highest quality part of a phrase. So we take any phrase, and the part which is loud, clear, and high quality, that is the stress. Okay? So in your phrase, how do you find out? How do you find out if a phrase has stress? How do you find out? Also find a little. How do you find out if a phrase has stress? So the stress in this is how, find out, phrase has stress. How do you find out if a phrase has stress? Now, what do you notice about the words which are stressed? And what do you notice about the words which are not stressed? So here we have words which are not stressed. How do you find out if a phrase has stress? Just to answer your question, MBTD, you said, I think would is used to express the future. So would can be used to express the future, but you know, would can also be used to express the past. I like that explanation, Anawat. That's very good. Content words versus function words. Yes. So stress is all about the important content words. We always stress the important content words. Okay. So if we take a phrase like that, I really like coffee. Then we have really like coffee. And that not so much. Why don't we stress the pronoun? It's an interesting question. Why don't we stress the pronoun? And the reason is because pronouns are contextual. From the context we can assume or guess the pronoun. We don't need to state the pronoun because it's obvious that when I say, I really like coffee, I'm talking about me. It would be strange for me to say, Anawat really likes coffee, just from nowhere, without any context, right? So we can assume that I'm talking about me. It's unimportant information that we can guess from the context. And that's the same with anything that we don't stress. Like if I say, you're going to go to the meeting. You're going to go to the meeting. You're going to go to the meeting. Well, I don't need this right? It's not important for the meaning of the sentence. But gonna, I need that. So I need the go. Go meeting. Go meeting. Yeah, go meeting. I can understand that, right? Go meeting? Meeting? No, not go. Not go meeting. Right? I can understand that. It doesn't sound like good English, but I can understand that. Go meeting? No, not go. Not go. Right? It's the important information. You're gonna go to the meeting. Can also reduce these. Are you gonna go to the meeting? And it's interesting because in many other languages, you can drop the pronoun, right? Like in a language like Spanish, you can just say, no habla inglés. Right? For he, she, or it. No habla inglés. We don't need to say he, she, or it. There is no he, she, or it. It's just no speak English. Because it's from the context, right? Because in the context you say Roberto, pues no habla inglés. Right? So we have the context. We don't need a pronoun. The context is there. We're talking about Roberto. And Roberto no habla inglés, right? So in many other languages, you don't need to put the pronoun. And in English, we need to put the pronoun, but we can drop it in the pronunciation, or we can reduce it. We don't need to stress it. So let's move on. Let's move on to this one. If you could change one thing, what would it be? What would it be? If you could change one thing, what would it be? If you could change one thing, what would it be? This was the question right at the start of the class. If you could change one thing, what would it be? So we've got the question here. If you could change one thing, the past, could change one thing, could. Could can be used like a past. So could change is the past of can change. If you could change one thing, what would it be? What would it be? And we have the form there again for that. Second conditional question. In other forms, would can be considered as used to be? What do you mean, Julia? Can you say that again? Would can be considered as used to be? In other forms, would can be considered as used to be? I need more information there, Julia. Oh, I see. In other forms, would can be considered as used to. Yes, that's right. That's actually something totally different. It's so different that I'm going to use a weird font and make it look really different. And I'm going to say... Yeah, so we can use would in that way, in a different use. Let's make it all pink. And just to make it look good, we'll do that. Yeah, so we can use would like that. Would for past habits. Wood is stative. No. No, we use would with actions. You can't use would with past states. For past states, you must use used to. So corresponding form here is to say I'd have a lot of hair, which doesn't sound correct in the past. It's I used to have a lot of hair. That's correct. It's like that. So it's actually that we can't use would with past states, only with actions. And have is a possessive. Have as a possessive is a state verb, verb of state. Right. So back to this. Excuse me. Let's do some pronunciation. You ready? If you could change one thing, what would it be? If you could change one thing, what would it be? So it's, if you could change one thing, what would it be? If you could change one thing, what would it be? A bit of pronunciation. Let's talk about some vocabulary. So, some vocabulary. Time management. Time management is an area that a lot of people need to work on. Take a look at the pictures. Take a look at the pictures related to time management. Take a look at the pictures related to time management. And I'd like you to match the pictures 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 with the vocabulary below. The vocabulary says prioritization, scheduling or scheduling, efficiency, work-life balance, and procrastination. So prioritization, scheduling or scheduling, efficiency, work-life balance, and procrastination. Prescription, says Sleepwalker. Prescription's not on there, but nice try. Sonia and Anawat have done it already, but they have different answers. Oh, Anawat, you have D twice. Sonia, you have D twice. We've got 2 people with D twice. That is a bad sign. Yes, Anawat, I think you have it. I think he has it, folks. I think he has it, folks. Today I'm going to see Godzilla. Godzilla -1. Godzilla -1. I'm going to see Godzilla -1 today in the cinema. Has anyone seen that? Godzilla -1. Has anyone seen Godzilla -1? It's a film in the cinema at the moment. It's a Japanese film. Godzilla. Godzilla -1. All right. So, 1. One is E, procrastination. 2. D, work-life balance. 3. A, prioritization. 4. C, efficiency. And 5. B, scheduling or scheduling. So, considering these areas, are there any of these areas that you need to work on? Which of these areas do you need to work on? Which of these areas do you need to work on? Which of these areas do you need to work on? Personally, I need to work on A and E. I need to work on prioritization and procrastination, for sure. I think I'm pretty efficient. I think my work-life balance is good. Actually, I demand my work-life balance to be good. I'm someone who really doesn't cope well with having a bad work-life balance. So my work-life balance is good. It needs to be. And I think my scheduling is okay. It has improved. I've worked on my scheduling since the pandemic. So in 2020, I started to work heavily on my scheduling, and it's now pretty good. But I do need to work on prioritization and procrastination. I am a procrastinator, and I don't like it. But everyone seems to be a procrastinator. A lot of people who I meet seem to be procrastinators. There's a lot of procrastination going on. What's another word for procrastination? Delaying, not doing anything, wasting time. That's it. Okay, let's move on to the next area. So the next area is relationships. Let's have a look at these pictures here. And once again, I'd like you to match the vocabulary to the pictures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here's the vocabulary. And I'm going to read those so you get the pronunciation there as well. So we have time with family, conflict resolution, communication skills, building new friendships, strengthening existing relationships. Did you get the word stress, the phrase stress? Time with family, conflict resolution, communication skills, Building new friendships. Strengthening existing relationships. Time with family, conflict resolution, communication skills, building new friendships, strengthening existing relationships. Sonia says, I tend to procrastinate rather than doing chores I don't like to do. I tend to procrastinate rather than doing chores I don't like to do. Yeah, everybody does. Like the washing up. I don't like doing the washing up. Cleaning the kitchen. I don't like cleaning the kitchen. Vacuuming. Organizing annoying things. Cleaning my desk. Correcting writing homework. I don't mind correcting homework, but writing homework? It takes so much mental energy. I'll give you another minute to match the vocabulary to the pictures. Pictures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Match them to the phrases below. And for those of you who finished, let me ask you the same question. The question is, which of these do you need to work on? So which of these do you need to improve yourself? Which of these do you need to improve? What do you think? Answers in the chat. Which of these do you need to improve? It's going to be interesting to see who shows up in 10 minutes at the old time. Gursday. Hello, Gursday. Gursday says communication skills. Well, welcome. Welcome to a communicative English class. I am a communicative language teacher. So you might hope that I can teach some communication skills. Sleepwalker says strengthening existing relationships. Well, okay then. All right, folks, let me give you the answers to this. Answers. So, number 1, communication skills. Number 2, conflict resolution. Number 3, strengthening existing relationships. Number 4, time with family. And number 5, building new friendships. So there's the answers. Personally, I need to improve. Hang on. Let's bonk, make it a new thing. And which do you need to improve? Personally, I think I need to improve conflict resolution. I'm very bad at conflict resolution. Yeah. Actually, I'm very bad at conflict in general. So I would like to work on that. Particularly, I would like to find an easier way to have difficult conversations, because I'm not very good at having difficult conversations. Not very good at that. So yeah, that would be my priority, conflict resolution. Communication skills, I think I'm pretty good. Building new friendships, I could make more effort, really. I would like to make a bit more effort to build new friendships. Yeah, that would be good. Strengthening existing relationships, It's always good to do that. And time with family, well, I'm working on that. Working on that today, because I'm going to see Godzilla. Godzilla minus the one. Sirijanya says, what you wearing? Star Wars 1977. I'm wearing a t-shirt of Star Wars from when it was good in 1977. MBTD says, I'm an introvert, so building new friendships. My advice to you, MBTD, is check out a book, really nice book. I did a lesson on this book, actually. Does anyone know what book I'm going to say? So the book is called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's an excellent book. If you are... If you are an introvert or you have a problem making friends, then read this book. And then read it again. And then read one chapter a month for the year. And make sure you do it. Don't just read it, but do it. That's an excellent book for people who have problems making friends and keeping friends. It was for me anyway. Really good book. I read this book when I was 19 or 20. It helped me a lot. It's a classic personal development text. It's a classic personal development text. All right, everybody, let's move on. We're moving on to our last one here, which is skills development. So look at the pictures. Got some lovely, lovely pictures there. Take a look at those pictures and match the pictures to the vocabulary. Match the pictures to the vocabulary below. Pictures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the vocabulary, which is continuous education, soft skills, creative skills, technical skills, and learning new hobbies. So continuous education, soft skills, creative skills, technical skills, learning new hobbies. And Guzda has matched them already. And Manuel Gordillo has graced us with his presence to say the best of all is communication skills. Building new friends depends on it. I think skills development is very, very important, especially in this day and age. Really, the 2000s and the 90s were the era of the soft skill. People had to develop their soft skills as much as they could, and technical skills, of course. Really, technical skills now are becoming something so important because of artificial intelligence and because of reliance on technology in our work. It's basically impossible now to not have a job that is in some way touched by technology. So it is the era of improving soft skills and technical skills. And of course, continuous education. You can't avoid continuous education now. Everyone has to be in continuous education. There's no option. Continuous education means you don't finish your education. There's no end. There's no end to your education. It's something that just continues and continues. There is no end to your education. Okay, so some answers coming in there. Let me give you some answers in the chat. And while I put the answers in the chat, you can consider the question that we've been looking at all stream today, which is, which do you need to improve? Which of these skills do you need to improve? So you can talk about that in the chat. Well, I go through the answers, and in the answers we have number 1 is technical skills, D. Number 2 is soft skills, B. Thank you to Dali for producing that picture. Number 3 is creative skills, C. Number 4 is learning new hobbies, E. And number 5 is, of course, continuous education. A bit of an ageist, stereotypical picture there, but hey-ho, that's absolutely fine, because actually that is what continuous education is. It's old people learning stuff. So actually there's nothing wrong with that picture whatsoever. It's funny, stereotypes can be a very useful learning device and also useful for communication. I know there's some negatives about stereotypes as well, but people don't often talk about the positives. Manuel's giving us a second conditional there. Were I to know... It's the wrong word though, Manuel. It's this one. Were I to know that learning English would get... Were I to know that learning English would get me friends, I would have started sooner. That's a third conditional. So Vladimir says he needs to improve his technical skills. Really, Vladimir? I think, aren't you a programmer or something? I remember you sent me something about being a programmer. Renit says, and hello Renit, by the way, I need to improve technical skills because I think they're so useful nowadays. Yes, useful. They are useful, but they're also necessary. It's like you have no choice now. Not only are they useful, but they're also necessary. Ooh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? That was a negative adverbial with inversion. Not only are they useful, but they're also necessary. Everybody loves negative adverbials with inversion. Not only are they useful, but they're also necessary. Anyone else in the chat? Which of these do you need to improve? Speaking for myself, I'm always keen on improving soft skills, and I'm always keen on learning new hobbies, and I'm always keen on continuous education. I think the one that I actually really need to focus on is, in fact, my strength, which is technical skills. I have a strength in that area. I'm good with computers, and I'm constantly improving my technical skills, but it is, in fact, the area which I need to continue to improve. So I need to focus on my strengths. And Takeshi says, sorry for being late. I thought you'd go live at 9. Ah, yes. Well, I'm trying, Takeshi. I'm trying a new time. So if you're just arriving now, then smash that like button, and I'm going to put up a poll in a few minutes just for you. So special poll coming up where we check once again if this is a good time. But as you arrive, you smash that like button. This is going to be interesting because we might get a second bump from YouTube as new people come in. Transferable skills, says Vitelli. It's Vitelli, right? Transferable skills. Yeah, what are transferable skills? Transferable skills are the skills you've developed that can be transferred from one job to another. Ah, right. That's soft skills, basically. That basically is what soft skills are, right? Advancing technical skills are of paramount importance. They're of paramount importance. I'm typing this in the chat if you're wondering. Just have a look at the chat. Advancing technical skills are of paramount importance to those who are tech savvy. I think, is it not the case that advancing technical skills are of paramount importance to everyone? But we could say that those who are tech savvy recognized in the past that advancing technical skills were of paramount importance. If I learnt new hobbies, this could make my world more enjoyable, but I'm lazy. If I learnt new hobbies, this could make my world more enjoyable. Enjoy is an interesting one because we have the verb enjoy and we have an adjective of enjoy. No, there's no ed-ing. There is no ed-ing adjective for enjoy. So we have the verb enjoy, but then the adjective enjoyable activities. And I can't say I'm enjoyed. I'm joyful, we can say. I'm happy is better, really. Yeah, that's basically what soft skills are. Soft skills are skills that you don't necessarily have a qualification for. So it's used to contrast electrician, plumbing, programming. We make a contrast from them to skills like cooperation, collaboration, conflict resolution. These are all soft skills. Smash that like button, folks, and we're moving on now to the final section of the class. We did talk last class about SMART, SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time constrained. That is the best way of setting goals. So this is a framework for setting goals if you want to put some of these into a goal format. So a nice goal might be something like I will study ChatGPT for an hour a week in 2024. And that is... Oh, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. Right, that is specific, measurable, because, well, study for 1 hour, that's measurable. Achievable, yes. 1 hour a week, that's achievable. 1 hour a day is more difficult. You can do it, but it's quite intense to fit it into your life. Maybe 1 hour a week. Relevant, well, is it relevant? You need to ask yourself. And then time constraint, because we said in 2024. So yes, we have a time constraint. You can also say time bound. Some people prefer to say time bound. Great. All right, folks, let's move on to the homework then. Are we moving it? Wait a minute. Do I want to do questions first? Okay, yeah, let's move on to questions actually. I'll do questions first. So here's the notes from today's class, and if you have any questions, you can type your questions right now in the chat. So any questions that you have about today's class or about English in general, you can type those questions now in the chat, and I will do my best to answer those questions. Oh wow, we have questions already. All right. Ziggy Bukowski says, how to be a good learner. Great. You know what, Ziggy? I actually did a video on that. So, you know what? You should watch my video on it because it's pretty good. It's a pretty good video. Where is that video, actually? Let me find it. How to be a great learner. That's it. It's got absolutely awful view count on YouTube, but there you go. It's a good video, though. How to be a great learner. So, how do you be a great learner? 1. Learn autonomous skills. So in other words, learn skills that you can take out of the classroom. When I teach my students, I try to teach them in a way that they can teach themselves. I don't want my students to rely on me. If you rely on me, then you can't learn the language. You need to rely on yourself. So you need to learn autonomous skills. What does that mean? It means things like learn how to learn vocabulary. Learn how to learn vocabulary. Learn how to improve pronunciation. Learn how to do all the things that a teacher does. Learn how to reflect. You need to reflect. What does it mean, reflect? It means you think back. So you have a conversation in English, have a conversation with someone, and then you reflect back to that conversation and you think, oh, what am I missing about this? Where's my weakness here in my communication? So that's all about learning autonomous skills. That's my first recommendation for how to be a good learner. The next thing I would say about being a good learner is try different things. Try learning phrasally. So don't worry so much about grammar. Just try to learn phrases. Try focusing on a new area. So if you always focus on vocabulary, try focusing on pronunciation instead. If you always read books in English, try singing. Or try lyricstraining.com. Or try watching YouTube videos. Try different stuff. One of the most important things, Ziggy, is to keep your interest. It's very difficult to keep motivated and interested for years. And in order to learn a language, it takes years. Let's try another poll about the start time. So we started earlier than usual. We started at 1 p.m. instead of 2 p.m. This is because Oxford Online English have finished live streams. There will be no more Oxford Online English live streams. So from this point on, I may be streaming at 1 p.m. to see if that brings in Oxford Online English viewers or not. Maybe it will. Let's move on to the next question. So Hector. Hello Hector, first of all. How are you doing? Let's have a look at your question. This government, as promised, has maintained the closest surveillance of the Soviet military build-up. What does as promised mean? And what will be the full sentence / clause? Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, first of all, we would need commas there. We don't actually need the rest of the sentence, just that. So this government, as promised, bumper bumper bum. And really, we're talking here about the as promised, aren't we? As promised is an adverbial. It could go at the front. Or it could go at the end. If we put it at the end, we don't need the comma. You can put it if you want. You could put it like that, or you can put it like that. As promised, I've done it. I've done it as promised. This government, as promised, has maintained. So here, as promised means something was promised. And this sentence relates to that. So saying something like, he did it as promised would be quite common, or even he didn't do it as promised if someone has failed in that obligation. You might say something like, this wasn't performed as promised, which could mean it wasn't done. It could also mean it was done, but it was done differently to what was expected. Interestingly, with 15 votes, we still have a majority for yes. Not as big a majority as before, but it's still a majority for yes. And Hector again says, what will be the full sentence clause? I don't quite know what you mean by what will be the full sentence. What will be the full sentence / clause? Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that. What you wrote was a full sentence. Okay, moving on. Vitelli, as it has been promised, it's an example of ellipsis. Let me think about that. Hey, I think you're right. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is. That's great. Nice job, Vitelli. You're absolutely right. Because we've got a few examples here where we could say something like... yeah, so you can do it with other verbs like that, where we get rid of we just drop words. So exactly, it's an example of ellipsis. Nice grammar flex there, Vitelli. Fantastic. Can we think of any more? Yeah, stuff like that. As there was no one who volunteered, I cancelled the project. As no one volunteered, I cancelled the project. Great. Fantastic. All right, brilliant. Moving on. Please smash that like button, says Julia. Thank you. What is preferable? I was born or I had been born? Whoa. Whoa. I had been born, Alexander? Where'd you get that from? You can't say that. You cannot say I had been born. I had been born? No, you can never... can you say that? I had been born. Let me think if this is even possible. He'd been born before that, so I'd been born. It's such a strange thing to say. So the most usual thing is I was born, right? I was born at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday, okay, in 1995, okay? That's the most usual thing to say. Now, I had been born. It's quite difficult to really contemplate that. But we say something like, I had been born for 5 years by the year 2000. You could say something like that. This is really the only situation when you would use this format, I had been born, when you're doing something like this. I had been born for 5 years by the year 2000. And by the way, this is actually the equivalent of the past perfect continuous. The reason this is not continuous is because be born is a stative verb. So this is the same as saying, I had been living for 5 years by the year 2000. Right? It's the past perfect continuous. And I've said this before, the only real reason to use the past perfect continuous is to talk about the duration of something in the past, which started up and went up to a point in the past. But yeah, it's quite weird. Domenico says, hello, Rich, a long time no see. It's 7:05 a.m. in La Paz. La Paz. This is the last day of the holiday. You know the drill. Ah, yeah, what are you up to, Domenico? I tell you what, I wish I was in La Paz. That would be great. I would love to have some La Pazian food. La Paz. Is that Peru or Bolivia? Can't remember. How am I supposed to learn C1, C2 vocab without vomiting? Oh, Takeshi, just see my forever comments on vocabulary learning. Okay. Vocabulary learning 1, learn phrases, not individual words. 2, learn the stuff you like, not boring stuff. 3, learning context, not out of context. So, in other words, watch Star Trek and learn vocabulary from Star Trek. Don't buy a book that says learn vocabulary in English and learn from that. It's a bad idea. Learn it in context. So learn phrases, learn the stuff you like, learn context. Don't learn too much. Only study phrases which you want, or only note down and study phrases which you want to use. Passive vocabulary improves through use of receptive skills. Active vocabulary requires some study/engagement. So this is an important point with number 5, that passive vocabulary improves without doing stuff, right? If you read books and you listen to YouTube and you watch films, then your passive vocabulary will increase. So in other words, your ability to understand will just increase. But if you want to use the stuff, then you need to do something about it. So that's when you need your study or engagement. Okay. Which is why I say only note down phrases which you want to use. Don't worry about phrases that you need to understand. That'll just happen. Focus on what you want to use. Geek up, geek up, geek up, geek up. Any Vietnamese in the chat? Thank you so much, Ziggy. Thank you. Did you have fun during the festive season, Rich, says Domenico? I'll tell you what, I had a lot of obligation during the festive season, Domenico. It's one of the busiest holidays I've ever had. Reading and listening. So Manuel says, as far as I'm concerned, reading and listening at the same time is the best option. Yeah, Manuel really likes that. So it's a good way of improving vocabulary. I want to say that again. Reading and listening at the same time is a good way to improve vocabulary. It is a bad way to improve listening comprehension. It does not help listening comprehension to listen and read at the same time. However, it is a good way to improve vocabulary, especially active vocabulary. Your passive vocabulary will improve without subtitles, but your active vocabulary will improve with subtitles. So if you want to improve your expression, not your listening, but your expression, your oral expression, then put the subtitles on. It's a good idea. Gersda says, how can I be good at written essays? Oh, come on, Gersda, that's easy. You know, first of all, I have to say that essays are kind of outdated and they're going to become less and less important. But okay, how can you be good at written essays? Learn the structure and how to plan an essay. Right, especially a short essay. If you're talking about essays for English exams, then they are these 250-word essays, which they only really exist in language exams and other exams. Like real-world essays are not 250 words, but yeah, in English exams, 250-word essays, sure, whatever. So 250-word essays have a very specific structure, don't they? We got intro, we got like argument side 1, argument side 2, and balanced summary with opinion, which is also called the conclusion. And this is actually what you call a discursive essay. This is a discursive essay, which means that you consider both sides. That's a discursive essay. So there's discursive essay, and then the other type of essay, not a discursive essay, is called an argumentative essay. Argumentative essay is you argue for one side. So arguments against, response, maybe it's better to put that there. Arguments for, arguments against, response to arguments against, and a biased conclusion that the thesis statement... No, actually, this is what you do. Conclude your thesis statement is true and summarize reasons, which there should be the reasons above. And in the start, intro must contain a thesis statement. The thesis statement is the statement that you are trying to prove in your essay. So that's an argumentative essay. Argumentative essays have become a lot more popular over the last 10 years. When I was at university, discursive essays were the main thing. They loved discursive essays, but now argumentative essays have become much more popular. I think because they demonstrate more skills. Moving on. Do you experience a shift in your non-verbal skills when communicating in another language? What are your thoughts on this? What I would say, Anwar, is it's useful to improve your non-verbal skills when communicating in another language. It doesn't necessarily happen. I have lots of students, and I've had lots of students over the last 15 years, but it doesn't necessarily happen. People don't necessarily improve their non-verbal skills. It's not an automatic thing that will happen, but I do recommend it. I think it's a good idea. It's a great idea, really, to improve your non-verbal skills. When you're communicating in another language, you need to use every advantage you can. When communicating in another language, use every advantage that you can. So, non-verbal skills and also contextual awareness. They're the big things that I would highlight as being very useful, right? With non-verbal skills and contextual awareness, you can become a very strong communicator without any language skills. Language skills are a bonus when you get to that, right? Have you ever tried to communicate with someone who you have no common language at all? I've done that. It's really interesting, and you can do it. You can communicate. So non-verbal skills and contextual awareness is really useful to develop that. Don't focus always on the content. Focus on what's going on around the content. That's context. Bum, bum, bum. What's the difference between deceit and deception? Deceit and deception. Deceit and deception. The question that I'm wondering about there is about deceit. Deceit and deception. Very closely related synonyms. Synonym means a word with a similar meaning. Deceit is an intentional lie or falsehood. And deception is the act of hiding the truth or misleading. So obviously pretty similar things, right? Because obviously telling an intentional lie, in fact, to harm someone, isn't it? Or for personal gain. Telling an intentional lie can be part of deception. So deceit is deception. Deceit is deception. However, not all deception is necessarily deceit. Yes. Because you could hide the truth, but maybe you don't want to harm anyone. Yes, of course, right? Deception could be ethical. However, deceit would almost always be immoral or bad. Yeah. There's something very wrong with my keyboard with the letter A. Doing my head in. I think I need a new keyboard. This was an expensive keyboard. £70 keyboard. I really like it as well, but it's just, maybe it just needs a clean. All right, where are we? Hector. Hector says, another question. If you violate the rules, Your Honor, score will be deducted, which will also affect the claiming of your honor scores. What? If you violate the rules again, your honor score will be deducted, which will also affect the claiming of your honor score rewards. The claiming is correct, Hector. So, the area of grammar that you're talking about there, the area of grammar that you're talking about is called nominalization. Nominalization. Is that right? Nominalization. Nominalization. Look at it's driving me crazy now. Nominalization, which is making a noun from a clause. Okay? So if we take a clause like the rewards are claimed, is that right? Then we could say something like, this will affect the claiming of your reward, of the rewards. Let's say your rewards. Yeah, stuff like that. It's quite an advanced grammar area, nominalization. Just this idea that you can take a clause or a complex verb phrase and you can turn it into a noun phrase. Like, they went up the hill and kicked a cow. And then I can say something like, Them going up the hill and kicking a cow was really terrible. And this is nominalization, where we take this clause, this, in fact, sentence, and we turn that sentence into a noun phrase. They went up the hill and kicked a cow. Them going up the hill and kicking a cow was really terrible. That's nominalization. So in your example, it should be the claiming of your honour score, because it's nominalization. Domenico says, Rich, the time slot of 1 p.m. UK is too early for me. But if the majority of viewers prefer that time, I can always catch your recorded videos. Yeah. And I will be streaming also on Wednesdays, Domenico. And I think on Wednesdays I will stick with the time of 3 p.m. All right. Any final questions? I don't think so. So we are going to move on. Going backwards here. You can download the notes for today. It's in the link down below the video. And it's there. And we do have some homework to check. So let's have a look at that. So this is some homework, and I asked people to make smart goals for the year. Sorry if I forget someone, or if not all of these are the correct homework submissions. I'm not entirely certain who did what. But let's listen to Anawat anyway, talking about his smart goals for the year.
Hi everyone, today I'm gonna share my New Year's resolution for 2024. I've set a goal to incorporate meditation into my daily routine for mental clarity after spending a long day in the hustle and bustle of my daily life. I plan to achieve this by meditating for 10 minutes every day while sitting cross-legged on the floor and focusing on my breath. By slowly inhaling and exhaling, I can let go of stress and embrace the present moment. But I know that measuring meditation progress is challenging. So I'll make a questionnaire to track the duration and consistency of my meditation sessions. And I'll also use a score from 1 to 10 to evaluate mindfulness, stress levels, and self-awareness. I intend to assess this data every 2 weeks. At the end of the day, I hope that this New Year's resolution will come to fruition and become a lasting habit in the future and beyond. Thanks for listening.
All right, so I'll do that again. It's boomer time, everybody. Hello. So, some excellent vocabulary there from Anouat. Really nice use of at the end of the day, which means after some process, something happens. And I really like the idea of setting meditation as a goal. I think that's a great goal to set. I think it's really a nice way with all kinds of health benefits, mental health benefits, and also if you are spiritual or not, then, it can be nice for that as well. So really nice bit of information there from Anouat. What I was saying before is that I'm actually thinking about incorporating mindfulness meditation into my goals. It's something that I do regularly anyway, but informally. And it might be nice to put it into a SMART goal. So that's something which I might work on going forward. All right, let's move on to our next contender.
Review first 15 pages of David Goodman's 10 gram puzzle books. I know my work is done when I viewed 12 pages. Have viewed 12 pages. I speculate the shapes in my mind and implemented the descriptive cuboidal geometry with OpenGL. Today I have enough time to view and resolve.
I love how Vladimir said before, I need to improve tech skills. And then he just said a load of stuff now, which was good English, but I have absolutely no idea what he said. What was it? Implement scripted something with OpenGL? Totally lost. I have no idea what you're talking about, but the English sounds good.
15 pages. I will start at 12 a.m. and finish at 20 past 12 daily.
All right, really good. A nice time constraint there. I'll start at 20 past 12. What was it? I'll start at 12. What did he say there at the end? It was like very, very specific time constraint.
20 past a.m. and 12 a.m. and finish at 20 past 12 daily.
Yeah, start at 12 and finish at 12:20 daily. So it's good you're setting yourself 20 minutes. That's very precise, though, Vladimir, to say 12. I mean, is it okay if you start at 12:05 and finish at 12:25? That's okay. Maybe better to say I'll start about midday and read or study for 20 minutes every day during... For how long? For 40 days in a row. Something like that, I think, might be a little bit more achievable. 20 minutes a day, every day, for 40 days in a row. That could be something quite beneficial. Because we do need to make it time-bound. It's not going to be for the rest of your life. Or is it until you finish the book? Maybe until you finish the book. All right. Okay, folks. All right, the heated conversation in the chat between Domenico and Manuel. You guys can just drop that now. Just end it. It's okay. If you want to discuss something on a personal level, then, do it somewhere else. I think it's a good thing. A good thing to consider there, folks. Ah, dear me. Where's Daisy when you need her? She would be the perfect person to sort this out, I'm sure. All right. Moving on. Who have we got next?
Hello, Rich. Hello, everyone. I want to give some examples and explain them. The first one is Traveling expands our horizons and gives us the opportunity to learn different people and different places. We have here traveling, a verb travel with an ing ending, used as a subject of a sentence. This verb form is known as a gerund. The next instance is she decided to travel to Sri Lanka for 1 month. In this case, we use to plus infinitive form after verbs relating to the expressing of future: plan, hope, want, decide, etc. And the last example is we can travel in our thoughts to other countries. This sentence shows us using the bare infinitive after modals. That's all. I wish everyone Happy Christmas.
All right, wonderful. I'm going to just listen to part of that again. I was slightly distracted.
This verb form is known as a gerund.
Right, so Elena is talking about the previous homework, about the verb form homework. I don't think I've corrected this, though. I got a little bit lost at Christmas. It was so busy that I wasn't actually sure where we were up to. So let's just listen to this.
The next instance is she decided to travel to Sri Lanka for 1 month. In this case, we use to plus infinitive form after verbs relating to the expressing of future.
That's right.
Plan, hope, want, decide, etc.
Remember that it's not necessarily verbs about expressing the future. It was something like verbs that express a mental intent or something like that. I think the misconception is that for the future you need to use to plus infinitive. But that's actually not really true. There's lots of verbs which you can use in the future without that. Like I can help you tomorrow, where we have can and help, and that is in fact just a bare infinitive. I can say something like I'm seeing my friend tomorrow. There we've got an ing. Or I'm intent on doing it tomorrow. There we've got an ing. So I would be careful thinking like, oh, it's for things about the future. But I think if you refer to that class, and this stream's up there, it's the stream from just over a week ago, then you'll see it's to do with verbs of mental intent.
And the last example is we can travel in our thoughts to other countries. This sentence shows us using the bare infinitive after modals.
Brilliant.
That's all. I wish everyone Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas, Elena. And I'm sure you will watch this at some point. Elena pretty much watches all the streams, if not live, then afterwards. So hello to Elena watching at home. All right, so moving on. We got one more. As I've said, if there's anyone I've missed, could you let me know? Actually, I think I did get another one in email, which I haven't downloaded. But let's have a look here. I've got Anthony, who's also talking about verb forms.
I'd like to talk about the word try. Try basically means attempt to do something. We all know that try can be followed by both to plus infinitive and gerund, verb ing. Let's say if I want to say I attempted to learn German, I can either say I tried to learn German or I tried learning German, but there's a slight difference in meaning. By saying I tried to learn German could mean that you had done it and you failed because German was hard. German wasn't a bed of roses, but it was a bed of poison ivies. Or the language per se isn't that difficult, but it was your surroundings that hindered you in learning it, whether it be your tight schedule or your rowdy neighbors or family members and etc. But yeah, basically you failed. Whereas I tried learning German or try a German lessons. It is more like an experiment. You wanted to find out what it was like to learn German. You know, it challenged you, it interested you. That's why, okay, let's do it. Let's learn German and to see the result. Would it be fun or would it be a nightmare? That's more like the reason behind you saying try learning German.
Yeah, he's more or less got it. I would pretty much agree with that. I think that is more or less. That is more or less the case, actually, that it's a question of I tried learning German but failed would be I tried to learn German, and I tried learning German as an experiment to see what happens would be I tried learning German. So we've got the contrast of to plus infinitive versus ing after the verb try. So a really nice explanation there from Anthony. And then finally we have Mr. Gordillo.
Good morning. It is a benefit scratch homage. It was pretty much a summer carol. Yesterday, I was dreaming about the homework of Rich sent us. So I'm going to tell you one nightmare that I had in summer 2021. This year, I took a trip to Spanish Mainland. The nightmare when I was driving. Well, in the morning, while I was having breakfast, in spite of I had read the weather forecast the day before, it was going to rain and fall. Nevertheless, the sun was shining and warm. I had a good journey to Salamanca. I had lunch. I had visited several landscapes in the meantime.
So we're getting a story here about a holiday to Spain. I'm not quite sure how this is going to relate to verb forms or New Year's resolutions, but let's see.
Although I was on time, I had in mind that I didn't spend time visiting this tiny city. So I stepped the accelerator in order to arrive too late on before the dogs could say me on way. While driving on a motorway called A66, but just before entering Lyon, there was a crossroad with divided between two motorways. So I made a mistake and take the AP60, a dangerous road, to the mountain. Well, 10 kilometers far away, there was a diver. I was happy. So I diverted and filled the petrol in my car. So one of the members of the staff said, "Where are you?" I would take this road to arrive Leon. It took me a long journey to Leon, but there is no other option. So I haven't been driving 1 hour and a half by unknown and unbeknownst dangerous on that road. And finally, when I was over him, I saw the city like father. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Okay, that's a wonderful story there, Manuel. Is that the homework? I don't know I don't know if that was the homework, but interesting story. So I think when you said crossroad, so in UK English we tend to call it the exit. Take the exit. So it's like I took the exit by mistake. And I forgot what's the other word? Take the exit, what do we call it when we come off the motorway? It's not bypass. It's, anyone know what that is? I have no idea. I cannot think what that is. Must be getting too tired. Oh, I also have homework from Julia, do I? Which I haven't. Is that right? Sorry, Julia. I knew I'd made mistakes. Let me try to get that up. Yeah, the other thing is, Manuel, I wasn't sure. It wasn't clear why you made the mistake. I didn't quite understand that. And I also didn't quite understand the road wasn't safe, but it wasn't quite clear to me why it wasn't safe. So I didn't quite get that either. But let's have a listen here with resolutions from Julia.
One of my resolutions for 2024 by using SMART technique is, first and foremost, to build a well-defined apps, which takes a combination of diet and exercise. When it comes to diet, I find it difficult and have a garden of challenges how to resist the temptation of unhealthy food. On the flip side, I will stick to my guns and have a nutritious foods in my daily and quotidian routine. I will do my intensive workout, especially in the area of torso and belly, and my schedule time is 30 minutes a day and 3 times a week. I will measure around that area in the beginning of each month in order to check the result. Initially, I would like to keep abreast of the times by setting a goal of 30-day challenge, but I find the contradictions between my limited time frame and my achievable goal. So, I aim to achieve it by end of 2024 instead.
Interesting. Yeah, it's tough. Improving health is a real long-term project, and you need to break it down into smaller goals. So introduce new foods into your diet. Actually, a really good way to start is to educate yourself. So get a reading list of really high quality, important books that you can read about diet and about exercise, put them together, and then just start going through them and to kind of build up a good knowledge of theory before you proceed with your kind of goals and action specifically. 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, I think is a really good start. Personally, the best thing that I do in my sort of aerobic or exercise routine is I use my bike to go to work, and that really helps a lot. And any time in my life when I've used my bike to commute, that's when I have my fitness quite well. The problem for me is when I have to exercise only for the purpose of exercise. That I find a lot more difficult than exercising in order to commute. When my exercise is part of my commute, it's a lot easier for me. So I find it really useful actually to have exercise as a part of my commute. Okay, and we got one more from Julia, and then we'll finish up.
Hey guys, let's get down to brothers about city living.
That was a very enthusiastic introduction with some good intonation there.
Living in a bustling cityscape, one must cultivate habits that oscillate between the dynamic and the serene. To truly savor urban life, it is essential to stop and relish the small joys. Amid the chaos such as COVID-19 outbreak and economy in the grids of reception. Stop to appreciate the kaleidoscope of colors in a city sunset or the rhythmic hand of the streets as they transition to night. In the morning, the city dwellers should embrace the ritual of enjoying to have a nutritious breakfast, setting the tone for a day filled with vitality. To sustain this energy, the individuals must prioritize their physical activity, engaging in jogging, cycling, relishing the sensation of muscles, walking in tandem with urban landscape. Luckily, I'm a fitness fanatic and it is a walk in the park for me. Beyond the physical realm,
Is this about verb forms, Julia? I'm a little bit lost. It seems like you're talking mainly about living in a city, exercise.
the mental well-being is also paramount important. Carving out moments to read and meditate amidst the city's glamours enhances one's sense of inner peace. Moreover, the city life invites its citizens to partake in a
This sounds like you're talking about how to live stress-free in a city or something.
tapestry of experience, wander through bustling markets, savoring a myriad sense of street food vendors. Expect to encounter challenges as well. The city is relentless demand, may foster habits detrimental to a healthy lifestyle.
I feel like I set a homework task and I can't remember what the homework task is. Oh, it's how to use, for example, stop, quitting, or other verb phrases. Right, so you're giving examples. You're talking about stuff to give examples of the verb forms we talked about.
Resist the temptation to succumb to sedentary routines. Instead, strive to cultivate habits like walking to work or open for stairs over elevators.
Yeah, I can hear it now. There's a lot of use of different verb forms, like you had just there.
Cultivate habits like walking to work or open for stairs over elevators. To mitigate stress, learn to compartmentalize and set realistic expectations, avoiding the pitfalls of overcommitment. In the grand tapestry of city living, we need to ensure a balanced and healthy lifestyle amidst the ceaseless energy of the metropolis. Christmas and New Year are just around the corner, and we are on the verge of experiencing it, and we are on the mood of wanderlust. At the same time, I am concerned and wonder whether the wicked weather threatens our travel plans or not.
Fantastic. Let's just go back to the start of that and let's have a listen now specifically for those verb forms. So we'll just listen to about 60 seconds of this and just listen out for the use of specifically to plus infinitive.
To truly savor urban life, it is essential to stop and relish the small joys. Amid the chaos such as COVID-19 outbreak and economy in the grist of recession. Stop to appreciate the kaleidoscope of colors in a city sunset or the rhythmic hand of the streets as they transition to night. In the morning, the city dwellers should embrace the ritual of enjoying to have a nutritious breakfast, setting the tone for a day filled with vitality. To sustain this energy, the individuals must prioritize their physical activity, engaging in jogging, cycling, relishing the sensation of muscles, walking in tandem with urban landscape. Luckily, I'm a fitness fanatic and it is a walk in the park for me. Beyond the physical realm, the mental well-being is also paramount important. Carving out moments to read and meditate amidst the city's glamours enhances.
Yeah, we had that paramount important again. So the correct expression is be of paramount importance. Be of paramount importance. So it's of paramount importance is the correct way of saying that. Let's have a look at some of the other things that you said there. So we've got it is essential to stop. There's an example of adjective plus to infinitive. And then we have stop to appreciate. So an example of using stop plus to plus infinitive, which is different than stop plus ing, as we talked about in the class. Stop plus ing means that you finish doing something, whereas stop plus to infinitive means that you stop the thing for the purpose of doing something else. And to sustain this energy, here we've got a to plus infinitive for giving a reason or purpose. So how do you sustain this energy? To sustain this energy, you do something. And then we've got engage in, jogging, etc., which is a good example of using ing after preposition. And then here, they should embrace. We have an example of modal plus bare infinitive. Great. Thank you very much for that, Julia. It's really nice to see the application of the things that we learn. Absolutely. Thank you very much, folks. If you made it this far, smash that like button. My name has been Professor Rich, and I wish you a very, very wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourself and keep studying and keep having fun. And I'll be back on Wednesday with another stream. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you next time. See you later, folks. Thank you. Bye-bye.